Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
You are listening to Indie Radio, where we do content the indie way. Hello and welcome to an all new episode of Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus Show. I am your host, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm so happy to be with you here on this last day of March. This is our second episode on our new night, which is now Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. We have a terrific episode planned for you. So hopefully my co-host will be able to join. She's having some issues. I don't know. Today is issue day, but we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it work. So let's introduce our panel. And this topic is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Normally, we talk about relationships and that kind of thing, but I've always wanted to do a show on a very interesting topic, which is twins. And we have two sets of identical twins. Hopefully, one of our other identical twin will be able to join us um, soon. But let me start off with the lady on the bottom of our screen. We have Miss Dana Kiel. How you doing, Dana?
I'm good. I'm good. So good to be here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
All right, awesome. So yeah, so glad to be here.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm Dana Kiel. I am a twin. We'll start there. I am a comedian and voiceover artist living here in Los Angeles. I've been here in LA for a while. My sister lives in New York. I think I got here in 97. So I guess 20, almost 25 years. And she's been in New York. Like we're opposite coast. Like I think people are always like, do you miss each other? And I'm like, I don't know. I think it might have been a perfect thing, being opposite coast. Like sometimes I don't know, that's a but I came out to Los Angeles to actually work in film and television and did not realize that I would eventually uh, be back to my first dreams of being on camera doing comedy. So that's what I do, and then doing voiceover as a bonus. But I've been a math teacher. I've taught chess. I've worked production. I've worked so many areas in entertainment, and then and done everything to to work kind of these other areas, and all of it has been extremely rewarding. My sister, who is not here and hopefully she'll be here soon, is actually caught in an emergency at the hospital. She's a doctor, and she's been an anesthesiologist for quite some time. And we were living in DC together. And at one point, she wanted to further her career by moving to New York. And I wanted to have a career. So I came to California. We both have one son. I have an amazing son who had to graduate during the Foolish Panorama last year. And I say foolish, I take out all of this very seriously, but it was, it was rough to have been so built up about your child graduating from high school, and the ceremony and the pomp and circumstance you look forward to for all those years. And then we get to the big day, and we're watching a screen. But I'm very proud of my son, and he's in his first year of college. So excited and so grateful, And that's it about me.
All right. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully all is well with your sister. And your sister's name?
Donna.
Donna. All right. So our next young ladies, and it's funny talking about connections. Not only are you guys identical twins, but you guys were born in DC. But I'll let you guys tell your story. I would like for you ladies to introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Renee. I'm Michele. And we were born in DC, but we grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland. So we've been in Maryland most of our lives. And it's funny now, we live in the same building, just different floors. So we're still close, but still kind of apart. And I'm a proposal coordinator, writer, editor, and artist. I designed the earrings we're wearing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's me. And we play tennis. We're avid tennis players, so we play tennis and coach tennis. Love tennis.
Mhm.
And
Very
I'm
nice.
a senior executive coordinator for a utility company in DC. And outside of that, I'm an artist, author, tennis player, and as Renee said, tennis coach. So that's, oh, and I have a 22-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. And that's us
All
for
right.
now.
Awesome. So the way I love to do these shows, I always like to start from the beginning. And I think a good way to start off at the beginning is I'm gonna share a picture with the audience, and then I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think when you see this photo? I mean, your photo. So can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So we'll start off with you, Dana. Uh,
Okay.
so this photo right here.
Oh,
What do you think when you see this photo? And tell us who's who.
Okay, I'm thinking, ooh, same forehead. No, I'm teasing. Who's who? I'm always like when I'm looking at this, and you guys, it looks like she's coming in. She got the link, so prayerfully, my twin sister will be here soon.
Okay.
Um, whenever we're looking at these things, okay, my right, the one with the slightly larger smile or bigger smile is me. As a kid, the way that we could tell ours, well, of course, we could tell ourselves apart. Twins know this because we're twins, but the way that other people could tell us apart was that my face was a slightly like wider, like a kind of a little more square, and her
Mhm.
face was slightly more oval. And for one reason or another, in most of our pictures in childhood, from very early, I always smiled a little bit bigger. And here she is, and she smiled, a little bit more shyly, but beautiful nonetheless, but just a slightly shyer smile. And also, you can see it. Although this is an old photo, like my skin color is a hair browner, and I don't know, even though you can, to me, you can, even though it's an older photo, you can appreciate and you can appreciate the lighting. I think you can appreciate that there's a little more, we're both brown, obviously. It's not that, it's not drastic, but I think you can see that I'm a little browner, face is a little wider, and smile, I don't know, for some reason, characteristically on pictures, and it was something that everybody always brought to our attention. My smile just always came out a little bit wider. And so if you can see that I'm on my right, and Donna, here she is, and is on your left.
All right. So how are you doing, Donna? I'm Kente. We haven't had
Hey.
a chance to meet
Hi.
yet in the pre-chat, but just tell us real quickly a little bit about yourself.
Oh wow. So I'm Donna. Dana's my sister, or I'm her sister. I apologize. I'm at work, and I thought sometimes things are quiet, so I kind of expected quiet. I'm a practicing anesthesiologist in Harlem, New York. I have a 19-year-old. Um, uh, finished yoga teacher training. Very excited about that, and just living the best life in pandemic. I don't. What else should I say? Because I feel like we were born
That
December
was
twenty
perfect. That was
second.
perfect.
That
That
was
was
Okay.
perfect.
perfect.
That was awesome. Um, and one thing we were doing is, since we're starting off with kind of you guys' origins. I shared this picture with the audience, and I asked your sister, what does she think when she sees this picture of?
Oh, and I didn't even really answer the question very well. I just explained who we were. What did I think? Oh, and we didn't say it. A couple of more things. We were born in Huntsville, Alabama. And I did mention where we live now, but we were born in Huntsville, Alabama, and we actually moved to New Orleans when we were 12. And then the splits eventually came in terms of schooling. She stayed in New Orleans, and she'll probably talk more about that. I went on to Tuskegee. We both HBC graduates, but we took these different paths. I just always think back whenever I see that photo, because I keep it, like, I'll throw it on social media. I just always think about being little girls, and those were Easter outfits. And I think about, like, the importance of Easter. Like we're Gen Xers, so we grew up in the 70s. And so Easter was a very big deal in terms of getting dressed for. And so Olin Mills was the portrait photographer of the day. Like, that was the big deal. Like, everybody who grew up in that time, you'll see a little Olin Mills in the corner. I mean, and obviously also, and even at that time, your department stores like your Sears and J.C. Penney's also did portraits. And so portrait studios and department stores were huge. But if my memory serves at all, that is an Olin Mills photo. And they were, like I said, a huge name at that time. And so I just think back to a simpler time. I think back to being in Huntsville, Alabama. I think back to how proud dresses, because we have those, and we also have dresses with like yellow coats that my mother actually made on the sewing machine the next year. But like I always think about the style, and I just think about those little dresses, and and also tights. You can't see it in some pictures. We stand up and we're holding hands, but like the importance of what our tights, our little tights. I think we're about 4 in that picture, and I think about what our little tights looked like and how important it was, the little white booty shoes and all that. So I just think about a simpler time. And like I said, I'm always taken back to being in Huntsville, Alabama, and I always am taken back rather to not necessarily the day we took that picture, but I remember I have a vague memory of that particular Easter Sunday when we wore those outfits. So I think about getting dressed for church, because anybody knows getting dressed for Easter Sunday in a Black household, hot comb, getting the hair done, the ribbons, everything had to be right. And so I just think back to all of that.
What about you, Donna? What do you think when you see that photo?
A lot of the same stuff, particularly sort of the pride in the idea that our mother would the next year make us dresses, sort of um, that would imitate this bought item, and how amazing she is and she was. I definitely meditate on Easter and the importance of it. I do sort of sometimes like, why don't you fully smile? Either you're caught off guard or you're shy. I don't know which it is. But for, like Dana said, for most pictures, either I'm just on a little bit of a delay, or I'm caught off guard. I don't quite have like that fully expressed smile. And so I do kind of feel like, what were you thinking? But it does all, it calls back all of the things, honestly, that Dana said, the simpler time. And it sometimes my mind really goes far. I think about my son's upbringing, because I think about Easter Sunday and making Easter speeches and how important that was in our own tradition of becoming confident speakers, and phonics and diction and all that stuff. And because in the world I live in and work in now, how you speak your diction, being able to present patients in a concise and meaningful fashion to convey information, is a skill that I have to lean on a lot. And I really do feel like those early moments drawing, I know my mind leaves big stories and long videos from things. It's how important it has always been to me. But I feel like that beginning of that tradition of of Easter speeches and standing in front of church and community, being people showing open pride and glee about who we were and
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, we lost her.
hopefully she'll be back. Oh
Yeah,
no.
we'll get her back. All right, so Renee and Michelle, when I
Yeah.
share this picture, what do you guys? What are some thoughts?
We are so cute.
Yes. So I'll say that may have been one of the road trips we took with our mom and dad to either a bowling tournament or somewhere. And on the picture, I'm the one on the left talking probably. So I'm probably telling Renee what to do.
Probably.
Because I'm the oldest. So
Yeah. She's 2 minutes older.
yeah.
She's the boss.
And looks like Renee's smiling like, okay, I'm listening but not listening.
And it's funny, we're mirror twins, so I'm left-handed, Michelle's right-handed, and in the picture,
Oh, wow.
whatever we're drinking, we're holding in the hands that we are. So yeah, which was interesting. I didn't even notice that Kente did though.
Very cute.
So yeah, we're probably having one of our twin talks. We have our own twin language, and nobody can understand but us.
Interesting. It's interesting you say that because, well, anyway, I won't even. But it'll make sense later in the show. And Donna and Dana, which one is the oldest, and by how long?
Donna's the oldest.
I'm the oldest by 7
7.5 minutes.
minutes.
7.5 minutes.
Okay.
And then Renee and Michelle, you said that Michelle is
2
the
minutes.
oldest.
Yeah, I'm older by 2.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm glad we're bringing this up, and I've talked to Renee about this. That 2 minutes is a big deal, right?
It is.
To her.
Right?
Uh,
7 minutes. It's a big deal. So you're
7 minutes is
clearly,
long. But the
you're
every minute
clearly
counts.
the bigger sister, right? I'm talking about the big sister, right?
Of course.
So I want to ask both of you guys this question, both sets. Do you feel like do you feel like the fact that this is for Donna and Michele, that
Mm-hmm.
because you are the older sister, even though it's 7 and 2 minutes, that do you feel like that's really shaped who you are? The fact that you do have that those couple of minutes on your sister, like, or do you feel like that's just by chance happenstance? Do you feel like a
No,
greater
it matters.
responsibility?
Like I make sure I always remind her that I'm 2 minutes older, so she knows. She remembers when it's important, and everybody knows. So yes. Oh no, we
uh,
lost.
we're gonna get
We
her back.
lost her. I hopefully she's back. I
So
know that the reception has never been great there. Like even when she's on the phone, you think it's so funny how cell phone technology works. I know she's at work, but like for years, you would think that things would get better. But I know we've always had trouble. So there she is on the phone. All right, Kiel.
I apologize because I'm at work and we don't
okay.
have the best Wi-Fi here, and there's sometimes there are spots that work really well, and suddenly that same spot that worked really well sucks suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was kind of in a good space to try and answer the question. I feel like for us, I feel like it's kind of always been dynamic. Like I feel like there are times where I sort of feel like I am the older sister. And then there are other times where I feel like, it shifts and changes. I feel like the 7 minutes, um, it kind of makes a difference because in fact, even tonight where I'm working, I'm actually covering the anesthesia for labor and delivery. So I
Mm.
see kids get born, and I see twins, and I see triplets. I don't think I've seen more than triplets yet. Um, but I pay attention to that birth order because I think it does make a difference. So I feel like there's a sense of sometimes elderliness at times with certain things, but it's
Hmm.
not. It's never felt pervasive to me. Like it's I don't think it's ever felt pervasive. I mean, yeah, it has long passes where I feel like yes, I'm the elderly kind of sister, but I don't know that even Dana pays me any mind or receives me that way either. I feel like
Hmm.
it's being a big sister is like a two-way street. Like I could be big sister, but I could be big sister and someone who's not little sistered. So if
Right.
so it could be me in my own mind as opposed to that because and the people like put that energy on us, and sometimes it may fit, and other times
Uh oh.
Uh oh.
Uh oh.
That monster's coming.
That is all right. So hopefully, I'll
Uh,
I'll I'll try to help. I think it was always kind of dynamic. Like she said, I agree. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is everybody still
oh,
here? Is
oh, no, no, you're
We're
good.
so
You're good.
I was just waiting. I only see my
You're good. Just go into a close up.
okay. Oh, right. So I think it was always dynamic because, interestingly enough, we were born quite some time ago in a beautiful time where there were no ultrasounds, and my mother was not 100% sure that she was having twins. I think by the grace of God, someone had some idea that there may be something up. But when we came into the world, I was physically bigger. We were both, and twins typically carry 8 months, not always the full 9. And so when we came into the world, we came in at 4 pounds. Donna came in at 4 pounds 3 ounces. I came in at 4 pounds 11, and so I got to come home from the hospital sooner. For physically from the beginning, there was a concern about frailty and things like that. And even when we were children, there seemed to be, if we got sick, she was always sick for longer. You know what I'm saying? And all these things. And so to the state of it being dynamic, I think it ended up having a lot to do with me being a more gregarious, outgoing personality, for different reasons. And like I said, I think there's a dynamic that happens in the world of siblings when we're worried about when the start seems precarious for one. And my grandmother, our mother nor our grandmother, and when I say my grandmother, I'm speaking actually both grandmothers are gone, but speaking in this moment about my father's mother, I would hear her sometimes when we were young enough and I was, present enough, talk about being worried about even whether she would live. When I look back, I've never heard my parents talk about them ever being worried that she wasn't going to come home from the hospital. I've never heard them say that, but I did hear my paternal grandmother once expressed the concern that she would be okay enough to come home. And so I think that what ended up happening is just that I was always physically bigger. And I think that, like I said in the picture, my face is for all these things. And so I think in this strange way, I was always more talkative. I was always, as she said, there was this, a hesitance and expression in her pictures. So there was, I don't know that I would characterize you, Donna, as like shy, but I think it was just always for me I was a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more gregarious. And so there was honestly a perception or an assumption that I was older just because of the way that I acted. And it's weird because we both have sons the same age, and my son was physically like kind of just heavier for everything than my nephew. And there were times we'd be out and people thought that my son was older than my nephew. So I just felt like it kind of mirrored our upbringing in that me and my son are obviously, in these other ways younger than Donna and my nephew, but it just kind of, there was this thing. So like you said, it was more dynamic. I certainly respect that there was always there were times where she definitely had more focus as as a student and as someone moving through academia. There were just these apparent differences. So like she said, it was dynamic, but I think there was, she's focused straight through undergrad, straight through like there was just always kind of like the dotting of I's and checking of boxes that was smoother for her than for me.
Okay. I'm gonna ask this question first to Renee and Michele. Besides each other, and besides Michele, your children, who would you say you guys favor the most in your family? Like mommy, daddy, auntie.
You mean physically or personality? What do you mean?
Actually, a little bit of personality and just physical look. Who do you guys take your look from, you think, the most?
Each other.
Each other.
I mean, besides each other, that's obvious.
I know. But I think, me personally, I think we have a mix between my dad and mom, or our dad and mom, but depends on where in the face. Like our forehead up, that's our dad.
Yeah,
but maybe around here is more our mom. So I think it just depends. I think it just depends.
Yeah.
So who would you say? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then personality-wise, when we were younger, I was, I guess, daddy's girl, and my sister was more mommy's girl. And it may have been like she liked the Redskins, but that was kind of opposite because my dad liked the Redskins, but I was his daddy's girl. But now I think, our dad is no longer with us, but I think both of us kind of maybe have taken on opposite roles, so to speak, so in some ways.
Yeah, I think it depends on
maybe the situation.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Hi,
okay.
Mom.
Oh, yeah, hey, Mom.
All right. So Donna and Dana, besides your children and each other, who you guys favor physically and personality wise?
Far and away, we both physically resemble our mother the most. I'm saying that I'm assuming Dana will co-sign. I think as we've gotten older, she continues her trajectory toward physically resembling our mother more, a little than me. But then there are sometimes when I catch myself in the mirror or make a certain face, I'm like, oh wow. So I think it's our mother. Personality, I'm going to need to contemplate that. Dana may have a ready answer.
So yeah, I think definitely we both, because people would always say when we were little, it looked like you didn't. They would look at my dad and say, "Look like you didn't have nothing to do with it." And I that we're having this conversation. I wish I had sent a picture too of our mother, because I even on social media now when it's her birthday, because she's no longer with us, and so when it's her birthday, I always post to celebrate her birthday, and I certainly post to celebrate my dad's birthday. There was some pictures that came up a couple. I think that was 2017. I'm not sure. Pictures of our mom that I didn't recall from childhood that Donna found. And there was an expression on my mom's face that I have made a million times, but I had no recollection of that picture. And I was so blown away because I make that exact same face, but I had never seen pictures of my mother making that face. And so, to Donna's point, I think as we've gotten older, there has been a shift where I look probably more like our mother. But I would say this, one of the things that's always been true, definitely around the eyes. I believe even though some of my features eyes are like kind of, I wouldn't say maybe bigger, like I don't have it on, well, I don't have it on contact. I have my glasses off. My eyes seem a hair more like hers, but both of us generally have her eyes. But I've always felt like it appeared that Donna had from our early years more of her lips. We both definitely have this nose as hers. So to that point, we do certainly look like our dad. I don't think our dad is out of the, we were not mailman's babies. We were definitely his children. Um, um, Donna definitely looks at this point probably has more of dad features than I do, but and personality wise, but to her point, I think she's right. Like trajectory wise, is in these growing years, it's me that looks a little more like our mom. Personality wise, it's hard to say. One thing that's going to obviously come out, and I'll say it now. Our mother transitioned this life when we were both 11, going on to 12. So we feel, and I say we, but I'll speak for me, we feel a little robbed, of time, if you know what I mean. But my dad told me once a while back that early on, I seemed a lot personality wise in terms of stubborn and determined. I was a lot like my mother. And I don't know that he was saying he was intimidated, but it always, I guess it was startling for him how much like her in that way that I was. And so, or that I am, because I'm still kind of that way. I think, thank goodness for my sister has, like she said, just completed training and certification and licensing to be a yoga teacher. I've certainly over the years studied more spiritually, so I feel like I have, I'll say, I've softened, or at least even if I'm still determined, I've learned how to find my own space to be at peace, and not, be so raw out the gate about things.
All right, now this one's gonna go back to Renee and Michele. I'm gonna ask a smart, dumb question. So get ready.
You're gonna ask the what?
A smart, dumb question.
Oh, okay. We're
All
ready.
right. How do we know that you're Renee? And that's Michele?
Because we said so.
Our
Baby.
mama
When y'all were babies, like when you were babies, it's not like you were like, I'm Renee over here, I'm Michele.
You weren't there. You didn't know what we did.
But I think our mom said when we were born, I think she said she put like a little mark or something on us so that when, they took us to the nursery at the hospital or whatever you call it, labor and delivery, that when we came back, it was us. And then, because she said when we were asleep or laying a certain way, I think on the side, it was hard for them to tell who was who because we looked so much alike from the side. So or the front, I can't remember which one. So yeah.
The conspiracy theory is that maybe Renee's Michele.
Never know.
Same thing with you ladies.
Tricks
I
on
mean,
people. Yeah.
how do you know that for sure?
But it came in handy when we had to play tricks on people.
Right.
Because I remember you said something, Renee, about you would steal Michelle's food.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our brother
Tell the audience
our
about
brother
that.
Tim said he could always tell us apart. So I had to let you all know that. But yeah, when our grandmother and I think our godmother used to babysit us, I was always just sitting there, when our parents would pick us up, but Michele was always crying. So
She probably got
our
fed
grandmother
twice.
told our mom that I think we might have fed the same one twice.
You don't know.
So yeah. So but we are.
And
I'm Renee,
you
and
didn't
that's
even
Michele.
let them know. You just took the meals, didn't you?
That's right.
I'm sorry, Michele.
I know.
Oh man! So when Donna and Dana, when you guys were babies and whatnot, was it very hard to tell you guys apart? Were there little things that made it easier to tell? Because they look very, very much similar.
Kiel, you gonna take it? Or?
I mean, I'm trying to remember. What I remember is that Dad used to always talk about that he could tell our voices sometimes
Mhm.
better than our faces, and I think that was from crying even to talking. I feel like when to family, like I feel like it was never an issue. I don't think like for like our most immediate, like I'm clear that our mother never confused us. I don't think our grandparents confused us. I mean, our grandmother on our mother's side, to whatever. Oh Lord, and then uh, and I'm certain our grandparents on our father's side. Our grandfather may have, but I don't think I even recall that. I don't know about you, Dana. I feel like
Yeah.
once it got
Mhm.
a little bit outside of the nuclear, grandparents and parents, it might have gotten a little bit questionable. But most time, I feel like we were so often together. Um, I don't know that people that often in the family, particularly if we went down south for summers or at Christmas, had to figure it out. I don't know. What's your
I
remember?
yeah, same recollection. I think when you asked the question, I was like, I don't like because we spent a lot of time with our paternal grandparents. We definitely spent some time with our maternal grandmother. We unfortunately never knew our maternal grandfather. He transitioned this life when my mother was in college, so we never knew our grandfather on that side. We did know our great grandparents though on that side, and I don't recall that. Like here's the thing, I don't recall it was an issue. That doesn't mean that they necessarily knew, but but there was also we also I don't know if y'all had this Renee and Michelle because we had similar names. We often got one name, and that name was Dana Donna. That's what people
Right.
would say. Dana Donna.
Oh yeah,
Dana
yeah.
Donna. So it wasn't.
Mhm.
So we were often called that. So that you couldn't miss with that. Um, Interestingly enough, I think, like Donna said, the nucleus could always tell us apart, and specifically because we spent a lot of summers with our paternal grandparents. I remember when our grandfather bought us bikes, and just different things happened. If they were having an issue, we never knew. They never let on that there was ever any confusion because I certainly don't recall any. It's interesting though, even in adulthood, there are family like as Donna mentioned, we gather in the South, particularly at Christmas, where there's a larger like first cousins, that whatever. I sometimes, there are things that are said that it feels like people are not always clear. Like once they start talking,
Mhm.
whatever. And Donna's a doctor, so you'll often hear which one's the doctor. You know what I'm saying? And then and then we come
Yeah.
on in and all that. And I think, but I did hear one of my cousins. We do a Secret Santa, and my cousin, her name is Brady. She made it like she was very specific about whose name. I think she had gotten one name, but she in her mind she had the other twin in mind. And I think I remember her saying, or maybe it was right. And she was like, okay, you are the one that I had in mind. Like, however, I think it had, after all these years, I think it had come together for her. And I think she had the right name, and what she had in mind matched the name that she had, for the Christmas gift. So I still think, even though we look different, and one of the guests in the studio, who I think I know who that is, says I can tell. And I don't know if he's referring to two of us or to Renee and Michelle, but yeah, I definitely think for the most part, nucleus family could tell. And not to get so verbose, to Donna's point, yes, my dad was very much I can hear the difference. He's even said that when we cried, like she said, he could hear the difference between who was crying and who was, not crying.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys questions. I'm sure you've been asked 100 times, but why not make it 101? Um, okay, so do you guys feel each other's pain and joy ever? So, like,
Yes.
if, like, for example, Michelle, you stub your toe, Renee's like downstairs going, ah!
Not quite like that, but when I broke my finger, I think I was in fifth grade. We were in fifth grade, and the doctor was doing whatever to my finger. She said she
Yeah,
could
my finger.
feel.
I could feel something in my finger. So I think we do feel what each other's going through. There's times sometimes, like I know for me, I have felt something
Yeah,
and then called Michelle and I'm like, are you all right? It's just like I felt like something was wrong or something happening with Michelle. So I think we do have that twin connection where we just kind of feel different things about each other and you can't really explain it, it just
yeah.
is.
And sometimes we, when we're meeting each other, we'll end up with the same outfit or the same colors on the shirt and pants, or whatever
Without
we're wearing, without planning. It just happens. So
or we go to the store, I might buy something and then she buys something that same day from the same store, and it's the same outfit. We didn't even talk to each other. So
yeah, so we just say it's a twin thing.
Yeah, it's a twin thing.
What about you? And then you guys are much farther apart, but do you guys experience that throughout your life of feeling, pain or anything one is going through?
I feel like in college we would have more of a connection. It's weird in the day of payphones and talking long distance and getting print cards and all of the ways you had to hustle trying to get long distance. Back then, I do recall a very specific conversation where we both like had the same amount of tests in our respective subject matters. We had them on the same day. Like, I just remember this one. I remember being in the engineering building at Tuskegee and talking to her on a payphone, and that was the discussion. She was at Xavier in undergrad. We definitely did not grow up with the like she got hurt and I feel it or any of that. But I think there's been more of a vibratory sense of pain and things like that. And definitely, I don't know about as much now, but certainly in our younger years, in our 20s and maybe even our 30s.
I guess I felt like there was a time, I think sometime in our 20s, that I think I had been emotionally kind of down, and even for a number of days, and I feel like I remember talking to Dana, and she had some sort of blue or melancholy going on for roughly the same period of time. And so I feel like sometimes it's like that, like I said, like she said, less so I think as we've gotten older for whatever reasons. But when we were in our 20s, maybe even very early 30s.
Do you guys connect to other twins? Is there a secret club of twins that us regular people don't know about, where you guys get together?
Secret,
Right. I want to answer this question real quick because it's been interesting. On my journey as a comedian, there was a show like this year was and I'm haven't been like just serious about comedy for a long time. I've been serious about the funny, but just like I am a comedian, it's kind of new. And one of the things I hadn't talked about until recently was being a twin. I hadn't really started exploring that for my comedy. But I started exploring it earlier this year for creating a set that was like the identity set. And I jumped on a very awesome show. And that particular night, there were only 4 of us comedians and 3 of us were twins on the show. And it all came out when I started talking about being a twin. And it was interesting because in all cases, all 3 of us were the younger twin. And in another case, one of the twins, well, she was actually the PhD, so my sister's a doctor. But it was just interesting. Like they said, if it's a secret club, it is a secret. But as someone, so we can't tell you that. That is, we'll have to tell you. I would say this though: I taught school, and I always feel a certain kindred whenever I get twins in my classroom, or whenever I get, especially girls. Honestly, and in love to all boys more than to boys, because boys literally will be boys. But I think that, when I've had twin girls that come under, that I have to instruct, that's always a big deal for me and a very special feeling for me. And so I do feel this other connection, and I always make it a point to take pictures with. I actually teach a set of twin girls now. I would say this is weird. I'll leave it here. I teach a set of twin girls privately, work with them on chess. I was in a school a couple of years ago where it turned up teaching some twin girls, and they are the same age as the girls that I had already been teaching other little girls. And I took pictures, and I showed them to the parents, and it turned out that the mothers had met out in the world somewhere and ended up like. So I think when my client, not the ones at the school, had her kids with her that day, and I think when they saw the other mom, she didn't have her girls, but they connected and they chatted, and so it just turned out that those girls were the same age, and I don't know that we never connected. I wanted to get them all together for chess because I was in one way or another teaching them all, but I found that extremely interesting that somehow this vibration had them connected in the world, and then I was kind of the link between us all, and not, how do you say, just, I'm a twin. I'll say it like that. I'm a twin, and that these parents of twins with girls the same age connect. The power of chess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I can say we have. I think like you were saying, just when you see twins, we're always like, "Hey, twin!" All the twin, like we know tennis players that we play tennis with, and every time we see them, we're always, "Hey, twin!" But like our oldest nephew has twin boys, and one of our brothers has twin boys. So and they're 6. So and it's funny now. We've been coaching them in tennis, but it's funny they're fraternal boys. But it's funny seeing, I guess, the twin similarities, but because they are fraternal, the differences in that twin thing. So, but anytime we see twins, we always greet each other with, "Hey, twin!" And usually we can kind of tell if we pass by twins, like especially little kids. We're like, "Are they twins?" We can kind of tell that they are, and maybe some other people can. So yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this now. At some point, you ladies started getting interested in boys, right?
No, my mommy's listening.
Allegedly, just
We are all virgins.
Exactly.
version of
Thank
what?
you.
Version of what?
So, are there some boys out there who had to go through some twin game plan for you guys? Did you guys, just mess with some boys in the past?
That's what it was. Well, no, for
Yeah.
us, like that was the one thing we didn't. We played tricks on people, but we never played tricks on the guys we like for whatever reason. So I guess we never really liked the same type of guy.
Yeah.
So that's been a different part of us being twins, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So what about you guys, Donna and Dana?
Donna, you want to take it?
Well, I feel like I have for guys. No, I feel like I have one vague memory of, like, I don't know, and I don't remember where it was. We met this guy. He might have been a relative, and we tried to play, or maybe a friend of a family. We tried to play a trick on him. But I think one of the interesting things about me and Dana, and I can say it's for me, it never occurred to us to switch classrooms, or to do trickery, or to try and to intentionally try to confuse people like that. I don't know if you can say the same, Dana, but I remember one year when we were finishing 5th grade, if my memory serves me correctly, somebody's like, "You guys should have switched homerooms," and it had to be a suggestion. Like, we didn't do it, but it I know it never entered my mind. It just, so I
Right.
feel like it doesn't, whether it's because we are interested in different kind of men, which is the case, I think, but it never even enters our mind. I don't know.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that fair, Dana?
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. That's it. Because I don't, other than that, like she said, in elementary, someone did suggest that we could have played a trick, and and that they would have been okay with it. But we were just the kids who we thought that. I mean, we were nerd kids early, so we were very nerdy early, and just always wanted to do all the right things. Certainly, we made missteps. We certainly made missteps, but we, in something like that, where we were concerned about being disciplined for, something like that. We never did it. And like you said, our taste in men was different. I mean, I think that we still are like, we admire, say, Denzel or Michael B. Jordan, in that regard. But in terms of our right, but in terms of just like individual taste of who I'm going to spend time with, I think that's very different for us. And I'm just trying to think. And even with the incident that you're recalling, I don't even quite recall that. But like, I just feel like I don't recall ever trying to be intentional about tricking anyone. Maybe we missed out on something by not trying to trick people, but it is what it is. But yeah, we were those girls. We liked encyclopedias over boys, atlases over,
I love it.
We tried to run school in our
yeah,
front yard.
we tried to run school in our front yard. We wanted to give out dictionaries to kids. Like that's the kids we were. We thought that we should recreate school in the front yard on Saturday morning. After bike riding, nonetheless. That's who we were. That's who you're talking to right now.
Um, I can only imagine having someone that is so close to you. You guys. I refer to twins as womb mates.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's funny. I love that.
because you guys, your first roommate was
No, he said
each
we
other,
made
right?
it. Oh,
You guys shared the
yeah.
womb together. Uh, but I can imagine that people always want to make you guys the same, all right?
Yes.
Like you can't be different.
No.
Uh, like
It's
they
always
probably
twin,
even
twin. Where's twin? If we were
Hmm.
together, where's your twin? Like, I don't know. She's somewhere.
Hmm.
are you supposed to be like, oh,
Yeah,
she's in
and
Radio
sometimes
Shack.
we'll do that. Sometimes we'll do that. Like, oh, right now she's standing on her right foot.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, but we get that. Like I think you were saying earlier, we get the Michelle Renee or Renee Michelle um all the time. Or a lot. And it's always like Michelle was saying, especially like I noticed in tennis, I think, if I have a match or we have a match but one of us is not playing, they're like, well, where's your sister?
Why are you not playing together? Like,
Yeah,
we're
like
just
I don't
not
know, just
in the lineup
yeah.
together.
So we do get boxed together. We have our own
Mhm.
personalities, but we still get put together no matter what. I think just because we
Yeah.
are twins, like everybody's just used to seeing us together a lot. So when they don't see us together, then it's always like, well, why? Where's your sister? Or like she has kids, I don't have kids. But they're always like, well, why don't you have kids? Or I'm like, because I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
You didn't get the
So
memo
it's
that
like
you were supposed to
anything
have
that
a
I'm like, we don't do everything together, but so it's like anytime one does one thing, they expect the other one to do the exact same thing. So I'm like, we still are two different people,
Right.
but we have a lot of similarities. So
Hmm.
that expectation, Dana. I can imagine of people expecting you to be just like your
yeah.
especially when you were younger.
Uh-huh.
Probably drove you crazy, right?
It was, it was interesting. Because to Renee Michelle's point, like we ended up doing a lot of things similar. Our sons are actually 9 months apart. So we both also have one son, like and my nephew was born September 25th of 2001, and my son was born April 25th of 2002. So they're literally 9 months to the day apart. But like the lady said, we're always, if one is present, where's the other one? And like, because as my sister also mentioned, we traveled to South Alabama to be with family from our respective homes. Well, when is one coming to town? Okay, well, when is your sister getting here? When, so there's always the question of, when we're, whatever. And like was said, people always want to know where the other one is. The fact that we're on different coasts, most people who know both of us know that we are, we're not sharing the same space. So I don't walk into many places here in LA and she's expected. If anything, when she is with me, that's when, we both, when we would visit, we try to kind of, we take people or take each other around to visit friends or like now I'm just like, can we just have dinner and then invite everybody, like all that. But, to like the post office here in LA at 39th and Crenshaw, there was a postal woman in there whose name was Donna. And I would always obviously think of my sister. And so on one of my sister's, trips in town, I was like, let's just run here and let's see if Donna is in here. Cause I want you to, let's just wave at her so she can see, whatever. But I do, because I do now do a little bit of comedy about being a twin. One of the things I say is, like having the same birthday. Like, man, at this point, my joke is that we should be called identical associates because like the ways that you're alike when you're a kid, and y'all are, you ladies are beautiful. We both, I don't have on my glasses, but like we wore glasses. I just recently kind of trimmed up my sideburns, but I talk about having sideburns and low self-esteem. I said, and when you get over a certain age, you do not want to be alike in all the same ways.
Right.
But because then it's cute when you're 5. When you're 45 or older, it is, I don't know if cute is what it is anymore to both have glasses, sideburns, and now we both single. Like I don't know if we want to be alike all the way down to the letter,
Right.
like that now. I'm just saying, so so it's interesting. But to your point, yeah, people, when there is space that we're going to be in that shared space, it's when I walk in, where's the other one? Where's your twin? And like I always say at Christmas, which one's the doctor? That's that's what we get
Like with Michelle, I think for us, like we dressed alike. I think all the time we were little. Our parents dressed alike all the time, so we were used to that. So now when we do it now, we say, "Oh my gosh, we have the same outfit." I think we just think it's cute, I guess, but and it's not really planned. But when we were little, we weren't necessarily concerned about if we had other friends because we always had each other. And because we had each other for so long, it was weird when other people were, I guess, were trying to be our friends, or we were still kind of standoffish with them because we had each other and we had our own language. So it was like we didn't need anybody else.
Definitely. Yeah, I would say we had differences in personality relatively early, and so we certainly shared some of the friends we had. Most of the friends we had when we were little were the same friends, but then there came a point where there were people. I think we had separate friends, but we really never had a problem with loneliness or like you said, feeling alone. Like if nobody else was there, I have my sister.
Right.
Being that you ladies are identical twins, if
how do you know?
for example, if Renee gave Michele a compliment on her beauty, is that Renee being arrogant? She's really saying she's beautiful.
Like if I say, "Oh, Michele, you're so beautiful," then I'm saying I am beautiful.
Sure.
No, that's just I'm
You're basically bigging yourself up.
Just confident, not arrogant. But yeah, but I guess because we are mirror twins, I guess it is. I'm looking in the mirror, So yeah.
So if you're like, man, Michele, you're looking pretty fine today, you're really saying,
Michele, you're looking pretty fine.
You're really saying Renee.
Thank you.
Why are you looking at me like that? But yeah, I don't know. We never thought about it like that.
Right. And I want to ask you guys, did you guys grow up complimenting each other a lot, or just kind of this is life and we're just rolling?
I think we just rolled with it.
I think it's more everybody else was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute," or whatever it was. But yeah, we just
like
together.
If one of us, like she might wear Afro puffs or Afro more, and sometimes I have my hair maybe down and like flat ironed or whatever. So if we change it up, we say, "Oh, look at your twist" or something that day. But other than that,
today we plan to dress alike and have our hair the same, and I put my contacts in instead of my glasses, which I usually wear.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends, but yeah, we never really. We just we were always, I guess, used to being with each other. So if the times as we got older, if we were apart, like if she went on vacation but I couldn't go because of work, then every day we would talk all day, every day. And our brother would always say, "You should have just come on a trip so you can talk to each other in person." Like he would say that all the time. So yeah, I think it's just it's a twin thing. I don't know.
How about you and your sister?
Goodness, funny business. So, in terms of the beauty piece, we never I realized and I was like, oh my God, are we weird? Because I don't recall that we've ever been like, "Hey, you're pretty." No, you're pretty. Like I don't had that conversation. I'm like, oh my God, are we bad sisters? Because I don't know that complimented each other like that. So okay, therapy moment maybe here. Feeling bad. Then the thing is, we have certainly been complimented by friends, family, fellas maybe. That self-esteem thing was pretty serious. So like probably still recovering emotionally from this low self-esteem in early developmental years. But here's the thing. I think, and I'll step out on saying this, I've always felt as though when we looked at each other, the differences were bigger than the similarities. So I always knew that I was looking like, even if I did compliment her, praying that at some point maybe I did, I was complimenting someone that in my mind looked different from me. Even when I see pictures of her that are beautiful or made up or whatever, I feel like I'm looking at a different face, and so any compliment, hoping that I gave one, would be for a different face. Do you know what I'm saying? And not at all my face, or whatever. And And that's because we reflected on that challenge from youth, just like being transparent for a moment. I think mothers are the ones who help you with beauty, and fathers are the one, and these are traditional roles. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, but our father was very big on books and very big on intellect and very big on schooling. So even though he loved us very much, I don't like, he wasn't very big on like, you guys are beautiful. Like, that's not, we didn't have that dad. And without our mother kind of being around, there was some, just grew up with some challenges in that regard or whatever. So just thinking about it, I think in any point that I ever thought about beauty, I definitely, when it came to the two of us, I believed I was looking at a different face. So that was kind of like that part. And my sister, I sent Kente a note. My sister has had to go see a patient. I'm hoping that maybe she'll get to come back. Her work is certainly always an adventure and a blessing. I love to hear the ups and downs of, especially she mentioned earlier the L&D, and I just always think that stuff is such an adventure because you're delivering babies from all ages, all sizes, all whatever, and to hear, the good and sometimes the challenging is always very interesting. So and in that regard, she's a very special kind of person because she's always believed in a more holistic approach and having these great conversations. So she always reports back really interesting stuff because she's, tried to take time to really build, even as the anesthesiologist, someone who will not spend a ton of time, always builds a certain relationship with her patients. So I'm trying to do all as well. But I hope that answers the question.
Definitely. Hold on 1 second.
Well, I was gonna say, like, Dana, what you were just saying, I think it's the same with Michele. Like, when we look at each other, we're not necessarily like, oh, you're pretty. It's more, oh, those are cute earrings, or oh, look at your hair like that, or oh, where'd you get that shirt? That's cute. Or it could be something else that one of us is doing that we maybe compliment on, versus like you said. Like, to me, everybody said, oh, like, now I don't think we look as much alike, but people still think we look alike.
And say,
I'm like, really?
They can't tell us apart.
They can't tell us apart.
Right. And I agree. I'm like, for real, y'all can't.
So I've always felt like, when looking at pictures, I think as babies, we look alike. But when we look at each other, I'm like, it's a different person. Yeah. I'm me, that's Michele. But I don't know. So, yeah, I agree with that. But I never thought about it until Kente said it to me the other day. So I was like, I don't know.
All right, so
you're so pretty. Look at you.
All right, so I'm gonna pull something out of left field. I have some facts about twins. Some you may know, some you may not know. It's multiple choice and true or false. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask these questions. So we'll go back and forth. Since you lost your partner, you got we'll let you go first.
Okay.
So these are twin facts. So you gotta, some of them are pretty easy. Some may not be.
I mean, if they're not about us, then we don't know.
So.
All right. Fancy.
All right.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay. So since 1980, this is for you, Danna. The birth rate for twins has increased to what percentage? Is it A, 33%, B, 76%, C, 89%, or D, 12%?
Woo. I'm gonna guess the part of me that is hopeful and measured is gonna say A, 33%.
Okay, let's see. Is this correct?
The answer is B, 76%. In fact, 1 in every 30 babies born in 2009 was a twin compared to 1980, when the rate was 1 baby in every 53.
All right, well, let's rock.
Right, all right. Okay.
All right. So let's do the next one. We want to keep score. We're just having for fun. All right. Number 2. True or false? Identical twins. This is for you, Renee and Michele.
Before you ask this question, I want to say something. This came up earlier for me because this is a very good question. I was in a class recently, and there's a percentage of people that don't know the difference between identical and fraternal twins. And, right. And because they don't know, they all have the same assumption, which is that if you see twins that look alike, they're identical, and if you see twins that don't look alike, they are presumed to be fraternal. I had to explain to them, no. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen are actually fraternal twins. They were not in the same amniotic sac, and that's what distinguishes identical from fraternal. So you could, if one turns out to be red hair, blue eyes, and the other turns out to be blonde hair, green eyes, but they were in the same sac, they are identical.
Yeah,
And,
that is true. Yeah,
and it was, and when I said it, it was, we're in this Zoom age. Everybody was like, I was today years old when I learned what a real identical twin was. So anyway, so I'm sorry, I just wanted to jump in and share that, because there's, for anybody that might watch this, who's running around with, a certain generalized perception, through no fault of their own, that that's the distinction, that twins in the same amniotic sac are identical. It doesn't matter whether they look alike or not. Twins not in the same are fraternal, and Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, because everybody, and including me, thinks that they look so much alike. They are fraternal twins. They're not identical. They just look a whole lot alike.
Yeah,
they do.
That is true though. Like people, I notice at restaurants, people will say, oh, if they see other twins that don't look alike, they say, oh, they must be fraternal, or they don't know that there's the terms identical or fraternal. So yeah, that is true.
All right, so this is for Renee and Michele. True or false? Identical twins can have identical fingerprints.
False.
All right, let's see.
The answer is false.
people.
Fingerprints are not solely generated based on DNA. When identical twins are conceived, they start out with the same fingerprints, but during weeks 6 through 13 of pregnancy, as the babies start to move, they each touch the amniotic sac, and unique ridges and lines are formed on each twin's hand that result in different fingerprints.
All right.
Wow. I was adult. I was, today. Now I knew it was false, but that's interesting that we do have the same one up to 13 weeks. I was actually that was an emotional moment for me. I won't lie, you guys, like this idea that we do have identical fingerprints up to 13 weeks, and that just the movement of literally, being in the womb is what changes our fingerprints over time. That's powerful stuff, ladies, to me.
I actually know Renee and Michele. I have fraternal.
But they are.
Okay, so
Lonnie M. Who is Lonnie M?
Right. Lonnie M is not who I thought it was at first. So, hey, Lonnie M.
Hey, Lonnie. Hey, Lonnie M.
All right, so this one is a little more difficult. But, all right, so question number 3. Question number 3 is, which state in the U.S. has the most twin births? Is it A, Massachusetts, B, Illinois, C, Washington State, or D, California?
Who is this for?
Oh, it's for you, Dan.
I knew it. I was like, why I get all the hard questions?
Right.
I won't lie.
Which state has the most?
I know we're not competitive, but man, I was like, I don't want to get this wrong. In my mind, and I'm trying to Google it as fast as I can, but I can't Google it fast enough. Yes, I'm gonna say California.
Okay. You know what we'll do is we'll let both of you guys.
Okay. What do you think?
We'll go with C.
Hey, I was gonna say that. All right, twins. We said C, Washington State.
The answer is A, Massachusetts. At nearly 4.5 for every 100 live births, Massachusetts has the highest rate of twin births. Connecticut and New Jersey follow with 4.2 twins per every 100 births.
Once, when everything clears up, just to see how many twins. I don't know.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll make it for both.
Right. And Google is saying Connecticut. I was still wrong, but Google is saying Connecticut now.
Oh, so you're wrong, Kendall.
Can we phone a friend?
All right. So, true or false? Mothers of twins may live longer.
That's a good question. Ooh.
Mothers of twins may live longer.
This is
no, because the twins probably drive them crazy.
I was gonna say true because they've endured the most and they're the strongest bodies. But honestly, medically, I think that the ladies are right. But I'm more hopeful than anything. And so in my mind, she's stronger. But I do feel like that has been heavy on the body. So
yeah,
that's still a hard one to answer.
My mom is in her 80s, so I'd say true just because of that, but I don't know about
If your mother, yeah, I'm still gonna say true. I'm gonna stick with true. I'm gonna stick with true.
Let's see.
The answer is true. A study published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society be focused on the population of women in 1800s Utah and found that women who gave birth to twins were strong and healthy to begin with, so were likely to live long lives.
And I never thought about that question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So
question. Okay, good question. High five, Kente.
all right, number 5. True or false? 40% of twins invent their own language.
True.
Definitely true. If not higher, but
I
definitely.
think it's higher. I was gonna say I think it's higher.
You know what's funny? That's why when you said earlier about the whole language thing,
Our language, yeah.
that's what I was. That's what I was referring to this question.
Yeah.
So all right, here we go.
The answer is true. These languages are called autonomous languages. Researchers suspect that twin babies use each other as models in developing language when an adult model language is frequently absent. The language consists of inverted words and onomatopoeic expressions.
All right, and y'all don't speak that language no more, do you?
Oh, we still do.
Interesting. Okay. All right. It's, Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda. That's my best friend. Hey, Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda.
Besides this one, she's my best friend too. But
too late now.
Oh well, I only have one now.
She said no, ma'am. She said no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Real. Bye-bye.
All right. Number 6. The term Irish twins refers to either A, one of the parents is of higher Irish heritage. B, when both twins are green. C, when 2 children were born within 12 months of each other, or I have A. It's supposed to say B. When both children are born with red hair.
C.
Yeah, we say C.
Yeah.
The answer is C. When 2 children were born within 12 months of each other. The roots of the idea behind the term are quite old, although no one knows when, exactly, people first began to talk about Irish twins. In both England and the United States, a massive influx of Irish immigration in the 1800s led to a negative connotation with Irish people and society.
All right. Interesting. Okay. True or false? Shorter women are more likely to have twins.
I just think that's false. I don't
think the height has anything to do with it.
Where'd you get these questions?
Oh.
The answer is false.
So
Taller women have more insulin-like growth factor, IGF, a protein that is released from the liver in response to a growth hormone that stimulates growth in the shaft of longer bones. Having higher levels of IGF results in increased sensitivity of the ovaries, thus increasing a woman's chance of ovulating. According to Steinman, the more IGF a woman has, the greater chance she has of becoming pregnant with twins.
Okay. That's what my mother was 5'9", which was relatively, it's not super short, but that's relatively tall, for a woman.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Right, so,
what percentage?
Percentage of twin births are mirror image.
Can we text our mom?
Can we Google this?
Our mom might know the answer to this.
Yeah.
I had no idea. My guess is C, 25%. That's just a super guess. I have no.
I say B.
All right, we're gonna go with B.
The answer is C. 25% of identical twin births are mirror image.
Even though we're not taking score.
Number 9. Your sister is back.
Hey, sister.
Oh.
All right, so we're doing.
Welcome back. Thank you.
She's a doctor. We're gonna let her answer the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys can.
Whatever she says, we go with.
All right. Number 9. Which of these is not a type of twin?
A grizzly.
A
Grizzly, like
mixed
that.
B, super fungation. C, polar body, or D, grizzly.
Fecundation of the polar body.
Which one
I
of
say
these?
D because that's just
Yeah,
makes me think
D.
of
We'll
grizzly
go with
bears.
D.
But
I have no concept. Like, what is polar body? But like, I'm saying D too because that's a bear.
Yeah.
But like, Kiel, what do you say?
I'm gonna say D, but even I feel like, like I don't even know the other two terms, super fecundation and polar body. Like I'm imagining polar body being some part of some cell or a gamete or a zygote or something. But grizzly sounds like doesn't make any sense. But now I'm like, I'm gonna have to be getting on Google after this.
right. Look up twin stuff.
Right?
The answer is D. Grizzly is not a type of twin.
What's the answer?
Yeah,
D, you said D.
Grizzly.
Can you see it? We're all right. We're all right. You're right. You're right. We're all right.
right.
There's no such thing as grizzly twins.
Twins.
Hey,
Are they
here's
unattractive? What is that grizzly about?
Maybe the attitude
oh,
at
that's
that
the street
age.
term.
Right.
All right, here's the final question. True or false? Twins can have different birthdays, and I'm not referring to.
True. We say true.
True. Yeah, we say true.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The answer is true. While it is extremely rare, it is possible to birth one twin days, weeks, or even months before the other. The current record is twins born 87 days apart. The first twin was born 4 months premature.
That's interesting. And I was just thinking about one twin born at 11:30 and the other one born at 12:01.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't. They just scared the shit out of me. Like I ain't never heard tell us that twins could be.
Right.
Ooh, Lord.
I,
James?
there was a friend of mine. His sister had twins, and somebody had to be delivered. Like it was like a 2 or 3 month difference, and it happens. I mean, there's all kinds of pathology or things that can go on with the placenta, depending on the babies and what's going on for them.
Wow.
And you may have to deliver one. I mean, you need to be in a good center that does that. Because we also hear of the stories of where a twin gets lost and doesn't get to the other side of the journey with its sister.
Wow.
And so I'm imagining, in a place where someone might have had, depending on what kind of resources they were availed or how quickly they noticed maybe one baby wasn't moving like the other baby or just whatever. It takes that. You have to be in good care and people really attentive to something happening for one, not happening for the other. Because I think one of the saddest cases I was sort of a part of, like I actually couldn't go talk to the lady for a little while, is that she was working hard, hadn't been able to get the kind of prenatal care. And at some point when she came for some visit, one of the babies was gone. And I don't even think she had realized it. And so she was young. And so she had to deal with, and the one child she had was 2. And so she's got to deal with this kind of loss so young. And I remember even that night I was supposed to go consent her because they were going to do a C-section for both babies the next day. And I can't talk to her tonight. I'll talk to her tomorrow. Because I felt it so deep in my soul.
Yeah.
That I was like, it was as a mother and as a twin.
Yeah.
Because she was just so young. Like I don't think she was 25, and I'm just like thinking of myself at 25, like having to take in that kind of whatever. Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
But there are good stories because a good friend of mine, like I said, his sister had, and the uncle would go down for one birthday, then go back down to whatever for the second birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
Now, I have to before we say our goodbyes and stuff like that. I'm going to get into what everybody's up to, and I'm going to start off with Renee and Michele. You guys are both writers, and you published some books, and you have it with you. You have it with you, right?
Yeah. Sure. Well, this one is called. Oh, sorry. The first one was "Have You Ever," and it's just a cute little book about let kids be kids, and we can read a little bit if you want. Just a cute little rhyme. Like, have you ever seen a frog as big as a horse? Would he gallop and jump or just ribbit, of course? Have you ever seen a star with no point on the ends? Would you rush to make a wish or wait and count to 10? So it's just cute little rhymes like that maybe kids may think about. And then the second one we did was how kids should act in church. And we put act in quotes because if you go to church, and especially I guess if when parents bring their kids and they're little, they may get restless and maybe cry, or they might want to get out their seat. And sometimes other people who don't have their kids or have smaller kids may look at them or kind of judge them. Yeah, so it's kind of just a way to say they're okay, they're kids, and they're going to be kids. Let them be kids. But remember that as adults, we're not perfect either. So it's kind of just let the kids be kids, and it's okay. And I think at the end of the book, it says, don't worry about anything that happens because it's going to happen next Sunday. Yeah. So it's going to happen no matter what. So just let them be, and they'll be okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. And how can people get a copy of both?
Oh, they're both available on Amazon, and you can look up either of our names, Michele or Renee Campbell.
That's Michele with one L, Michele.
Yes. And
Renee with two E's at the end
and an accent mark. But have you ever, and how kids should act in church. But you can follow us on social media. I have a couple, My Pencil Writes or RDC Art by Design, and we're for any books that we publish, we're a Twin Bang production. So you can look it up that way and check us out.
All right. And Danna, you are a stand-up comedian who is busy. So, do we have anything on the horizon that we should be on the lookout for?
Thanks you guys for asking. So tomorrow night, I'm helping to raise money for cancer. Follow me on Instagram, and literally, it's right there. Oh, it is right there. I try to keep my handle up. You guys, the best way to catch me is on Instagram. So I have a Thursday show. Saturday, I have a big show. Loons and Tunes. I am the headliner. I'm excited. On the Freedom of Love, I'm the headliner, and that one's on Eventbrite, but it too, everything is the link is in my bio for anything that I'm doing. But I would love it if people, just anybody listening, because I went ahead and shared this in my Facebook page so that people can catch a whiff, and I'm typing it over there. But shows on Thursday, and also I co-host a podcast here on StreamYard on Thursday. So Thursday we got two things happening: raising cancer with Shane. I'm sure you guys have heard of Shane, the comedian. So I'm on the show with Shane on Thursday on Zoom, and then I'm back here at StreamYard with the Therapy of the Absurd for a podcast. We've got a couple of great guests, and then Saturday I'm your headliner. And I feel like y'all remember Aretha Franklin's song "The Freeway of Love," where she's in the video, "Do you see a vision?" Anyway, that's I am your headliner on I see it on Saturday, and it's Loons and Tunes. If you go to Eventbrite right now, you can look up Loons and Tunes. You will see our show. Otherwise, please, you guys, follow me on Instagram, and you can find out everything I'm into. And thank you, Kente.
All right.
And real quick, the first person in the chat to put the number, let me do it like this. 12 plus 12.
24.
All right. 20 plus 20.
But we're not competitive.
Girl,
pick another number.
20 plus 20 in the chat will win a copy of you guys' book.
Dang it, you guys. I want to speak for my sister because it sounds like we're closing out. She is a licensed Instagram instructor, licensed yoga instructor. I just see she popped out. I was looking for her to share this, and maybe she'll pop back in as I'm saying it. She is like, I'm Dana Kiel with 2 N's on Instagram. She's Donna Kiel 26, which is our birthday, December 26th. We're Capricorns, card carrying. Where she is, she's back. Kiel, I was trying to tell everybody about your yoga situation and find you on Instagram. Okay. Zip it, you tell it.
Okay. I'm very excited because there are new things afoot. I had done every Sunday in March, needing a little break, and I feel like Easter Sunday may be a big thing, but above all, I need a little break. So starting April 11th, all the remaining from April 11th to the end of April, all the remaining Sundays, I might toe into Saturday during the month of April, just trying to figure it all out. But definitely Sundays at 4:00 because I have a couple of folks that are so sweet and they come to me. But I do my Dr. Donna's Yoga for Compassion. And it's a beginner flow, but all levels, all love is what I've put on my Instagram. And I mean that. I really do try to be attuned to, who might be new or so on and so forth. I am finishing up teacher training. So what that means, sorry, didn't expect that.
So she's finishing up teacher training, and it's happening 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, follow her on Instagram. That's Kiel 26, Donna Kiel 26. And you can get all the details. And so, like she said, it's beginner flow, trying to take in all speeds, all walks. Let's see if she's back. And this is a passion project as someone who is a medical doctor, obviously trained in and licensed in Western medicine, but has always had the desire to have a holistic approach. And there she's back. I was trying to describe your. It's freezing. Oh, it's freezing. It's gonna stay. There we go.
Kinda.
Uh-oh. It sounds like someone is doing squirrel nuts. Like that's So I'll big up it again. Donna Kiel 26, 2 N's and Donna, and Dr. Donna's. I missed what she said, you guys. Dr. Donna's yoga, and please check her out. And same again. I do Dana Kiel 26. I mean Dana Kiel not 26. All the comedy, all the yoga between the two of us. All right.
Oh, it's cute. And I forgot to mention mine, but mine is Michele Creations. So it's MYS Shells Creations on Instagram or Facebook. And I, show my art. And Renee and I also recently started teaching art to kids. So we have Draw with Nay and Shell. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook.
And MRDC Art by Design. So that's like the design of jewelry and any other art. My Pencil Writes, SYL, on Instagram. Website is my pencil, spelled out pencil writes, at WordPress. And I think that's it.
For now.
When is you guys' birthday? I know we're getting out of here. When is you guys' birthday? I'm curious.
August 31st.
Oh, okay, so y'all are y'all Libras? You're not Leos. You're
No, we're Virgos.
I always mess up the fall sign. Sorry about the Virgos in the building. Sorry, and like I said, Capricorn. August 31st. I'm gonna remember that.
They saved the best for last, but we're the last day of summer.
Yeah. Also, it's apparently the most babies are born in September, so you guys are right in that kind of. That is apparently the month of September is said to be when the most they think that everybody got pregnant New Year's and had babies, But I saw that that the most birthdays are in September. Like September is I would say definitely in the States, maybe around the world, but the most birthdays are in the month of September. So you guys are right there. Somebody Christmas night.
But the best ones were born in August.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Does your friend Yolanda own either one of those two books?
She better.
Does she own either one of those two books? Yolanda.
I probably gave her copies at the time because she has a younger son, so I probably autographed a copy. If I remember correctly, because we wrote "Have You Ever" in 2015, 16. And How Kids Should Act in 2019. Yeah. So we have more to come. But
the reason why I asked
she probably does.
First. So that means
Olaf. Oh, and then Olaf said LOL 40.
Yeah, so Olaf is the winner.
They bring us the number. Yes.
Oh, the number?
Yeah. So Olaf, we'll get you the copy, Olaf. All right, so you can get me at Kente F on Twitter. You can get me at Kente Ferguson on Instagram. And of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's INDY radio.org. Next week, we'll be back with a new episode at our same time, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Next week's show is called Relationship Failures. So that should be interesting. I'm
single, so I'll just listen in.
So this should be a good one. Everybody have a great rest of your week. And God bless you.
Thank you for having
Sorry, guys.
me.
Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you for having us.
All right, you
Bye,
guys.